Brothers and sisters, we have a great show again. We're not out of the woodworks just yet. We're not out of the woodwork just yet. Today's show is Give Me Liberty or Give Me Death. That's our show for today. And brothers and sisters, it's nearly down to the wire as it relates to race relation. It's nearly down to the wire. And the reason is that, well, there are several reasons. Should say that. There are several reasons. I'm bringing the light down. Brothers, hope y'all don't mind and all the work that y'all have done. Bringing the light down is a lot better for me. I wear glasses, so it's a lot better for me. Thank you very much. The reason is, first reason, we're talking about liberty and talking about death, is that you and I, right, have drifted back. We drifted back. When I say you and I mean the black generation. Generation present and the generation past are dealing with the very same things because we drifted back. We have literally drifted back. And we can't, how do you put it? I want to put it in the right way, right context. We can't afford to not stand up for individual rights. We could talk about civil rights all we want to. Those rights belong to the white man. Those are his rights. But when we talk about individual rights, then we're talking about us. The white man has individual rights. The Chinese has individual rights, which is Asian man, the white Asian. Should have said that the Caucasian has individual rights. Excuse me, brothers and sisters, it's been a long day. The brown man, the Mexican, I would say, and I'll say that the brown man, the white Mexican, the lightest version of the brown man, which is a white Mexican. I'm speaking of the whites and whatever nationality that you could think of. I'm thinking of the white people because we know that the black people and those different nationalities, we know that black people don't have rights. No matter where we are, you and I don't have rights. If you're black, you don't have any rights. You are fighting for rights. You've been fighting for rights ever since you was released out of slavery or colonization. And this is very, very important because the America's experience a harvest in slavery. All the islands and everything else around between America, South America and North America. They call it America, right? The Americas. The white man calls it that because he was practicing the same thing on one that he was practicing on the other. So him, it was no different. And I want you to understand, because this is very, very important, that he was establishing himself as a major power in these areas, right? Not for dispensation. It wasn't for a period of time. He intended to be over these places indefinitely. This is something that you have to understand. Now, there are two things I want to say concerning that, which was my original point. Well, let me say this first of all. I want to apologize for the time. We are going to start at 7 o'clock. I think 7 o'clock is a hallmark time for us to start. So we're going to do that. And this, just learned this today. We was trying to see which time would be better, but we see that 7 o'clock is much better. So we'll begin to meet at 7 o'clock. So we won't be late. We won't be late. That's our intentions. It's 7 o'clock. So I appreciate your patience on that, and I want to apologize to you for these different times and trying to get the right time. Sometimes it gets so busy that you're not able to do it. But it's not because I want you to know it's not that I take you for granted, because I don't. As a matter of fact, I respect you very much. And when I've gotten busy, I wasn't able to keep direct time because sometimes the patients are long and sometimes they're short. And then I have the little guys to deal with to make sure that they're fed and everything else. We try to split it up. I try to do my best to be a good daddy so that they're not going without, and they require a lot of attention. So, but our target time is 7 o'clock and no later than 8. 7 o'clock, no later than 8. But back to the Americas. It's important for us to understand in the Americas. And I should ask you, brothers and sisters, I apologize for that. I apologize. And I'll ask you this. What do you think? I'm going to put this in the chat now that I'm thinking of it. What do you think the best time to start is? Should be. Can I do it in Ebonics? All right. So what do you think the best time to start should be? And because I don't think I've ever asked you that. I don't think I've ever asked you that, so I'm asking you now. But these two Americas, they intended, and same thing with Europe. When you say America, you're saying Europe as well. There's no way for you to separate the two. There's no way for you to separate it. So they intended to be in power for the long haul. They intended to be in power for the long haul. And it's apparent in the way that they enslaved and the different. It wasn't just a system of slavery, but first of all, a system of segregation. And prior to that, a system of system and an ideology of superiority and inferiority. So this is very important. This is very important. And America is experiencing colonialism right now. We're not experiencing slavery on a physical scale anymore. Colonialism is much more of an administrative, social categorization of oppression, if I can say that. That's what it is. So these are very important to understand. So America is in colonialism right now. We're not saying it, but that's what it is. And each of these branches of colonialism or dispensations of colonialism have special names that they're given. Now, first of all, it was the system of superiority, right? This great, what they call a genus scale. What was considered man, acceptable unto man, and what wasn't. And then we had the system of segregation that was put in place because of this ideology of racism, right? A pseudo-scientific ideology. And they were able to put in the system of segregation, which would separate, in a sense, or segregate, right? We'll use the term segregate, political segregation of what was considered inferior and superior. So that line, what was inferior and what was superior. Superior and what was inferior. And we fell, if you were black, brown, yellow, light, even bright, you still fell into the lines of what was inferior. Now, even the seed or the the creations that were made through sexual intercourse of what is considered black and white. If that child was born, it's got a drop of black in it, it's still considered inferior. And this was the system, class system, same thing India used and through Greece and all of that. This class system was created. And with this class system being created globally, this wasn't just in America. It wasn't in the Americas. It was global, a global perspective, a very global perspective. And we have to keep that in mind. In this global perspective, the white man intended to be in power the entire time. They intended to be in power. There was no, in other words, never be out of power, but always be in power. That was their intentions. So this is something very important for you to understand. You have to understand that. And they are willing to do anything to stay in power because they're not going to go back to where they were. They won't go back to where they were. So they intend to stay in power. And that's something that you have to understand. Now, here in America and England, they learned from the other colonies they set up post-slavery, because the colonization was a pre and post thing, right? First came slavery, then came colonization, right? We're going to colonialize this. First comes slavery, then colonization. So we're going to have levels. In colonization, you have levels of rank structure, right? In slavery, it's a definite that the master, he holds the last and first word. But in colonization, there's a rank structure in it. You have to understand that. And there's a phase already set in place. In other words, the more alive you get, the more awake you get, then the structure changes. No matter what happens, they'll tweak that structure to keep you in your place, even if it means them allowing you to serve in their system of government. I hope you understand me. I hope you're getting this, because it's as plain as it gets. But you can even serve as a CEO of what's going on, but you'll never be in charge. Never be in charge. And that's the key thing to remember. So if you're never in charge, then you'll continue to be oppressed. This system of oppression is the cushion that the white man has to stay in charge. I hope you understand that. I hope you can appreciate what I'm saying. So if he has this system set in place to keep you in charge, to keep himself in charge, he'll do whatever it takes. It doesn't matter with him making a first black president or having a first black ambassador to Haiti or Nigeria. It doesn't matter. It makes no difference. Or have the first black ambassador to Nigeria, right, for America. It doesn't matter. Or even for him to have everybody in the White House completely black. The house still stays white. The house is still white, regardless, because he's in control, right? So it's a different when you say, give me liberty or give me death, or Patrick Henry say, give me liberty or give me death. You have to understand that. He's saying, give me liberty or give me death because he's invested and he's going to benefit from the stands that he makes. And he'll have people to stand behind him, finances and everything, right, to support his lobby for his constitutional cry of what he thinks his rights are. You and I, we don't have rights. We can bring up the Constitution as many times as we want, but we don't have any rights. We don't have it. No rights. We have no rights. We can bring up the Constitution as often as we want, but we don't have any rights. And they will put in front of you whoever they want, or whoever you want to see in front of you, they'll do it. And that's including entertainment, comedian, politics, religion, community leaders, police chief, right? Doctors, lawyers, businessmen. It doesn't matter. He'll make all of this possible for people to be in charge that look like you. But you still ain't got no liberty. You got plenty of debt. And you ain't even asked for debt. He ain't going to give you liberty. He'll give you debt because he's been killing you. And he'll continue to kill you. You understand, brothers and sisters? He's been killing you and he'll continue to kill you because he ain't going to give you liberty. If he gives you liberty, then his whole goose is cooked. You understand what I'm saying, brothers and sisters? If he give you liberty, thank you, brother. If he give you liberty, your whole goose is cooked if he give you liberty. So he's not going to give you liberty. He'll never give it to you. And so you ain't got to worry about it. He'll never give you liberty because racism, remember what we started out with? We started out with a system of superiority and a system of inferiority. Racism as a system of superiority, even though it's scientific, pseudo teaching. In other words, it has no basis. None whatsoever. The white man would teach that, and he'd rather teach that and believe it and would do everything he can to make it so, just so he can keep you oppressed. It doesn't matter if you're a black Democrat or a black Republican. It doesn't matter. Because a white Democrat and a white Republican is on the same team. Right? They're Team America. It's almost like playing the Super Bowl. Right, brothers and sisters? I'm not going to be before you long because this is not going to take very long. And I don't want to waste your time. But I just want to tell you, it's just like the Super Bowl. Just like the Super Bowl. When a team wins, America wins. When one team wins, all the commissioners get paid. All of them get paid. You may have a team that get paid more money, but the fact is that as long as they're playing football, the NFL commission is getting paid. You don't hear me. The name of the game is football. Minister Malcolm said political football for black people, because as long as they're playing, America wins. Right? As long as they're playing, America wins. Just like the NBA. It doesn't really matter what team. Just give us a good show, because the NBA is going to make some money either way. They're going to make some money. Right? For contending teams. That's why they call it the Big Ten. You don't hear me. Huh? You don't hear me. So, you know, when you got the Big Ten or you pick 10, right? That's football or basketball. Because no matter who wins, they both belong to the NBA or they both belong to the NFL. Isn't that right? So that's how it is. When they put black people in charge, right? The white man don't care. When Barack Obama was in charge, they let him do what he wanted to do, right? And they didn't approve what they didn't want to approve. It didn't matter. Because at the end of the day, the white man just wanted to make sure that he was in control of the government. Right? And that tells you, now listen, January the 6th was almost like another Boston Tea Party. Right? It's almost like Patrick Henry all over again. The white man don't change. He's the same. He still wants the same thing. He wants power. So Trump says, right? This is what Trump says. He says, give me liberty or give me death. Isn't that right? And these guys are willing to throw themselves in the fire, jump off the building for this man, break into the Capitol building. Did you have any of the protesters that were breaking in? Out of all of them, not one of them got killed. It's amazing. It's amazing. Not one of them got killed. Police officers got killed, and they may have trampled one of their own. A police may have shot one of the ones who, the girl was an agent. The white girl found out she was an agent, the one that got shot. So, because they mentioned that when they said how many police got shot. Now, none of the protesters, they could have easily, the National Guard could have easily came behind them and shot. Right, brothers and sisters? The National Guard could have easily come behind them, shot into that crowd, and could have contained, right, and destabilized that crowd in a minute. They could have done it, but they took their time getting there. You know why? Because they were determined to do away, right, with two parties that were not showing their interest, right? The old Republican Party, right, and the Democratic Party. Because the old Republican Party and the Democratic Party, as you can see today, have so much in common, right? Just apples and oranges, right? They're both fruits. They're both fruits, right? And so these new white liberals began to see through it. They saw through the whole charade, and now they said, we need something else. We need somebody stronger who's going to magnify our interests. And lo and behold, Donald Trump came in speaking more racism than each administration has spoke over the last 100 years, right? And not only that, but he was willing to bag it up. Now, it was still a political game. Still a political game because Trump wanted what? Power. If he got that in the seat of the president, then America's still winning, right? If Joe Biden got in there, right, America's still winning. Now, you tell me, what has Joe Biden did? Name me one thing that Joe Biden has done for you other than these charity moves to keep you blind. Other than that, name one thing that Joe Biden has done to solidify the investment of Black America. Not whatsoever. He hasn't done anything. He hasn't done anything. And because of it, you and I are still in the same bag, same boat. You got people fighting for voting rights again. How could you be fighting for it? Either you got it or you don't. But the Republican Party is more honest than the Democratic Party in their racism, right? They're more honest. They know the black man don't have any rights to vote. They already know it, brothers and sisters. They know this already. But the only thing about it is you and I don't know it, that the Democrats are playing the biggest trick and game on you that's ever been played in human history. And then they put you in the middle of everything that they're going to do. They put you in the middle. They put you in the middle. So you have to understand, brothers and sisters, it's important for you to understand that it's liberty of death. When you make that statement, means you organizing for just that. Either give me liberty, or you won't have it, right? Give me liberty, right? If I can't have liberty, you can't have liberty, because it's liberty of death, right? Is that right? It's freedom for everybody or freedom for nobody. So you'll give me liberty or you'll give me death. The man is giving you death. The man is giving you death. But when Patrick Henry said that, he wasn't meaning for you to stand there and get killed. He wasn't standing so he could stand there and get killed, right? But the consequences had brought him to the place where he knew he would have to die for what he believed in or fight for. Because the white devil, he's a white devil, and they were fighting for the investments that they had made in America in this new country. They came from another country and were fighting for it. They came willingly. You and I came on a slave ship, right? And I'm trying to explain that to you. We came on a slave ship. We didn't decide to come. We were caught, chained, and made to come. You have to understand that. We were caught, taken, and made to come to this land. Is that right? Sure it is. Sure it is. That's right. So I want you to understand that you don't have anything. Right? This is the reason Minister Malcolm says the ballot or the bullet. Why? Because you don't have anything. This is the reason he said it's liberty or death. Right? Our subject today. Because you don't have anything. You don't have any of this. The man is playing with you every time he tells you have it. Because you don't have it. He says freedom for everybody or freedom from nobody. Why? Because the black man ain't got freedom. You ain't got justice and you ain't got equality. You don't have it. You want it, but you don't have it. You like to get it, but you don't have it. You've been fighting for it a long time, but you ain't got it. And I mean, the price that you pay is death, but you ain't got no liberty. Huh? You ain't got no freedom. Huh? Right? You got plenty of death, right? So you have to understand that. You have to understand that. So, brothers and sisters, that's a short thing that I wanted to put before you because, yeah, I wasn't going to hold you long. I wasn't going to hold you long. This is what I wanted to put before you because we have to understand that if we do for self, then we will liberate ourselves. Self-reparation is the first level of reparation and liberation for our people, that we repair ourselves. Stop spending money at their white man stores. Start your own stores. Start your own community stores. I'll be saying this every time I get on. I'll be saying this. Start your own community stores. Start your own businesses. Your own car lots, car shops, housing, markets, and all of that. And yours is a renovated market. And we'll have to start all of that stuff if we're going to be anything today. We're going to have to start those things. If we're going to be anything. If anything is going to work for us, we'll have to start those things. That's the way it is. If we don't start it, then we won't get any liberty. We won't get any justice, right? We won't get it. We won't get any equality unless we build it ourselves. The white man's system is this system we're in. Our system, right, is not the white man's system. That's his system. We've got to get our own. How do we get our own system? How do we get it, brothers and sisters? We have to fight for it. So one thing the black people don't want to do is you're going to have to. You don't have a choice. You have to fight to get a system that you control. And you have to have some land of your own, right? People of your own, an army of your own, and an economy of your own. Because if you have that, then you'll invest the people to save it, save that economy. You'll do it. When you see the African militias in Africa, they're fighting for their interests. They're running white people out of Africa and have been doing it ever since the white man has come there because they're fighting for their interests, right? And they're not wrong because they have what's called a ad populum to the land. So they're not wrong. The white man being in their country is wrong, but they're not wrong, and they know that. So they're fighting to get them out, right? They're trying to get them out, right? And so they're protecting their investments in Africa by getting everything un-African out. The white man is fighting for his interests in America by getting everything un-American out. That's why I tell you, we're African, right? But we're not African American. We're African. Our ancestors, our origin, our people come from Africa. That's evident in the color of our skin, shape of our nose, our cheekbones, our ears, our teeth. Some are native Africans to this land in America, right? Which is noted in the features of many of the black native African Americans, because those are the true African American, right? The other African American is just a political one, like Barack Obama. If he's white and black, he can be called an African American, but it's political. It's not from naturalization, but it's from what do you call it? Nationalism. And nationalism opposes naturalization. You have to understand that. White nationalism is against black nationalism, right? Because it's white. It's going for everything white. Black nationalism is going for everything black and at different levels of it. That's what's going on. That's what's going on. So it's what? It's freedom, it's liberty or death. It's freedom for everybody or freedom for nobody, right? Right? So the white man who's free is going to protect his freedom. He'll never get rid of it. He'll never get rid of it. Why? Because if he gets rid of it and you become an equal, his goose is cooked. Slavery and racism, brothers and sisters, you have to understand. You have to understand, slavery and racism, right, was created by the white man to justify a system of superiority and inferiority and to justify enslaving you and I. That you have to understand. If you don't understand it, you're finished. If you don't understand it. Now, I understand that. I understand it. So that's why I wouldn't go out there when I learned better, marching and unarmed, talking about fighting for civil rights. No, sir. No, ma'am. I wouldn't do it. I had to learn better. I had to learn better that I'm fighting for rights that I myself don't have. This is what I'm fighting for, right? I was that kind of foolishness, that kind of dumb. That when I was in the military, right, I fought for rights of other people over there that I don't have right here. I fought for rights of the white man to exercise totalitarianism and dictatorship over there. And I've also protected his rights to do totalitarianism and dictatorship right here in America. So I fought for his rights, but I wasn't fighting for mine. And it is more evident when our eyes become open and our ears become open and our mouths become open, that we begin to recognize and smell, right, oppression, slavery, right, which is justified by a system of superiority and inferiority, which is white nationalism. From his religion on down, it teaches that you are inferior. So when you say liberty or death, that means you're ready for a regime change to take over this system that the white man has misused, and to begin to implement a system that is going to be successful. But it can't be attached to the white man's system. Can't be attached to the white man's system, brothers and sisters. It has to be attached to a system that involves people like you and I. And you know that it'll be a fight to have when we come to take over this country. It'll be a fight to have. So that's why we say, give us a land of our own and a place of our own, and finances for the next 25 years that we've earned through reparations, to cause us to create our own area, our own economy, our own system of living, our own religion, our own more ways and four ways, and our own cultural attachments to Africa, and where they will continue to pay us reparations as well for defrauding us, and many of them catching us and putting us in slavery, so that the white man could use us, transport us as human cattle to do his bidding, to do his will. So that's very, very, very important for you and I to understand, because that's how we got over here. And you can never take out the racial question. You can't do it. They said, well, he's playing the black card. Damn right. I'm playing it because I didn't ask to be here. You brought me. So I'm going to play all the advantages I have. The white man will tell you play race card, but yet he's using all of his advantages, where you were brought here through a system of racism. You be out of your mind not to use the card. You be out of your mind not to use it, brothers and sisters. You were brought here as slaves because of your race, because of the color of your skin. Isn't that right? Isn't that right? We're not black, right? Peace, Sister Donna. Glad to see you this evening. We're not black, but we use the term against our will because we were brought here in racism. We were brought here in racism. So we use the term black against our will. So our own philology has been distorted based on race. And philology is the study of words. It has been distorted based on race. You have to understand that. You have to understand that. So, we have nothing in common with Patrick Henry or any of those guys. Thank you, brother. We don't have anything in common with Patrick Henry or any of those guys. We don't have it. Because he's fighting. When he says, give me liberty or give me death, he's fighting for his investments in America. The lie was told to them that when they got over here, that they always be able to exist together. Right? But who all know that the white man can't work together? I know it. I know it. They backstab each other. So that should let you know what they'll do to you and I. You should know it, brothers and sisters. And that's why I spend time on the web trying to let you know that you have to be mindful of who you are, how you got here, where you came from, right? How long you've been here, why you've been here that long, and how long it's going to take you to get back. That's right. We must have two goals in liberations. Two goals that we have. The one is to understand how we got here and the history thereof. That's the one goal, right? Because this is going to cause us to wake up. The next goal is to figure out how we're going to get back. These are the two goals, right? So we get when the children of Israel, that's what they call them. I want to change that. I want to say the Jews or the Hebrews, because you can't say the children of Israel. This is misleading, right? This is misleading because we already know, right, that Jacob was a liar, right? Jacob was a liar. So we can't say the children of Israel. We can say the Hebrews, the true Jews. When the Jews, that's us, the Palestinian, African, right? The Jews, when the Jews were in bondage in Egypt, I want you to understand that it wasn't a black Pharaoh that put them in that situation. The governor of the land at that time, right? I'm talking about the governor of all the land. The governor of all the land, because Ramsey belonged to Kemet. But Egypt was a name given to Kemet and the systems and kingdoms in Kemet by the white man. So they call it Egyptos, which meant area of science, right? They called it sorcery, in the area of math, right? So these Kemites, they had to give a region and a reason to this area. And so they said the Kemites, right? Those that they were calling the Egyptians, these were the African Kemites, Kim, right? Which was the son of Shem, right? Shem was the third son of Adam and Eve from Ethiopia. So these children of Shem, right? These children of Shem had flourished in these areas, right? The kingdom was made mighty because of their science, their art of building, the natural planting and reaping of wheat. These natural jobs or occupation they had really been caused them to be blessed. As they were offering these things up to God, it caused them to be blessed. And once they were blessed, their kingdom flourished. Now, the white man saw this. He was the high coast or the Hiscos, right? A lot of people don't know about that. The Hiscos, the white man came from a group of people called the Hiscos or the high coast. Some people said the high coast, you know. But these people came out of the caves. Isn't that right? This is the invasion of ancient Egypt, right? Because that's what was happening. You have to understand what was going on. Now, when they invaded, first thing they did, what do we say the first, what do we say? We said the first, and they were invading Kemet. Let me say that. They were invading Kemet. This is about 3,600 years ago. The last successful invasion, say that. The last successful invasion happened about 3,600 years ago in northern Egypt, right? And the high coast, or the Hiscos, or some call it the Hyksos. Okay, either one of those. They will come from the Mediterranean caves of Europe, and came to take over an area that planted, reaped, were doing great. The Egyptians were living good. You know, they respected science. Science rewarded them for investing in science. Whatever you plant, you'll reap, right? If you plant it, you'll reap it. And this is 3,600 years ago. right? 3,600 years ago. 3,600 years ago, to date, the Hyksos, right, or the Hyksos, whatever you want to call it, the Hyksos, these guys invaded Egypt. And when they invaded Egypt, they came there because they were trying to eat. They didn't have anything. I want you to understand that. They didn't have anything, so they were coming there to eat. Does this sound familiar? They couldn't plant, right, or reap on their own, so they came there to eat. Wouldn't have made it had not somebody planted the food, found the water, set a system of raising for the children, had a proper religion to teach civility. They would not have made it. They would not have made it had not someone came and did all that for them. Isn't that right? Now, who does that sound like? That's what you and I have to ask ourselves the question. Who does that sound like? Who does it sound like? Let's think about the white man. The white man couldn't plant for itself, couldn't reap for itself. He couldn't invent anything. All he knew about was killing. Because I want you to know that the Hyksos, the invading force of Egypt, are the grandfather and fathers, right? The grandfathers and fathers of these white people who have come, invaded Africa, took Africans in chains to America, to both of the Americas, took them in all the other uttermost parts. Not that there weren't black people there, because there were black people there in those areas. But they first had to establish a system of superiority and inferiority before they could take those black areas over. You have to understand that. It's that simple. But we have to keep finding different examples that we can use. Find these different examples that we can use. When we find these different examples, then we're able to point out what's going on. Because the same thing that happened then is the same thing happening now. When we turn it over, greeting, brothers. When we turn over, that's right, brother Larry. That's right. I'm saying Hyksos, right, or white. That's right. The Hyksos, or the father or great grandfather of the whites, because you know their father was the Minoan. The Minoan is the direct father of the white man, and then his father lineage comes through Greece and Rome, right? And even the Greeks and Rome at that point are still albinos, right? They're African albinos because they hadn't made the biological or genetic trek to become white yet. They were not yet white. Because as you know, an albino is the last level on the black chain. And they start mating these albinos, and this is how you begin to get a degenerative genetic trait, which gives people straight hair. The white man is the reason why he has straight hair. There's a difference in black people having straight hair and white people having straight hair. But it is, both of those are recessive traits. One is an abnormality. One is an abnormality. The other one is direct recessive. But they are both recessive traits. One from a stronger gene and one from a weaker gene that is a hybrid of something that once was. So you have two weaker genes that can create a substantiated weaker genus as a race, and that's the white man. You take two albinos who are directly recessive of black traits and mate with them, then they'll continue to have children. You killed off the darker one that they'll produce. They'll continue to have lighter children, and then you take the lighter children from them and you mate them, and they'll continue to create light until there's nothing left. It's called grafting. Jacob did it. You know, I told you Jacob was a trickster, right? Even the Bible tells you that Jacob was a trickster. His name is Jacob, right? And he helped in these things. Even the word tells you that he can't be trusted. It said he was a trickster. And he named himself Israel. He aligned himself with the true Jews of the true place of Israel that was in Africa. You have to know that. So this abnormality, right? Our brother said they don't really know where the Hyksos come from, other than they were good at seafarers. Well, we do know where they came from. They came from the Mediterranean. The Hyksos come from the Mediterranean. They invaded because they had one of their strongest, and you can look this up if you want, one of their strongest strongholds was Georgia, which was, and this is over in Europe. This is over in Europe. Georgia is present day where Russia comes from, where Eurasia first is established. And these Georgian kingdoms, right? They come from these ground connected cities, right? So no matter where it was, they had these underground tunnels that connected all the white cities all together. And when they came together as a mighty force, they had no such thing, because all of their mixture was almost like a mutt. You know how you get a dog that's a mutt, and they got all of these mixtures till they're just whatever. That's how the white man is. That's why he had to create the term white, because the white man has no direct place that he belongs to. None whatsoever. He can't really claim a place. He can't claim Spain. He can't claim Russia. He can't claim India. He can't claim Greece. He can't claim Rome. He really can't claim any place, right? Except through nationalism. So he can take it over, but he can't claim it as far as saying this is where I come from, because he comes from us. And we established those kingdoms long before he was there, but we sent them there, right, in the mountains because of the weight of the climate on their genetic inferior skin, and was giving them cancer and things of that nature. But they misused it, right, and wouldn't practice science. They were very lazy. Some says because of their genetic makeup that they don't have the endurance, so it made them lazy. I don't know if that's true or not. I know they're lazy, right? They've been lazy throughout the years. And as a result of that, right, they decided they're not going to work for themselves, but they're enslave, right, capture individuals that can do it and make them do that. And that's what they did. They brought them to the Mediterranean. Africa fought and brought them out of the Mediterranean, right? And then you had the Platonic War, right, that happened in Carthage. Past Carthage is present day, present day Libya, right? Carthage is present day Libya. So when you look at these stories, these are not allegorical at all. Some of them can be made to be allegorical, but there was actual history where they taken the Africans of North Africa, took them over there to help plan and reap and build up their kingdom. The first level of slavery, but it wasn't going to survive because the Africans came right back over there, took them back. You find out the Queen Isabella, King Ferdinand was a latter portion of that. They came and caught Moors and stuff and put them in slavery in their country. You find out that the Moors, through Mansa Musa, came back, took them out of slavery, and then impregnated the French women with black seed as part of the war, part of the defense. As I told you before, that integration is still the first line of war against black people. Why? Because it is understood that when you break into a person's genotype, you destroy their genetic structure. Isn't that right? And you produce a people that you can control. Right? And Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad talked about the Yaqub, why he created people that he could have power over, people that he could control, right? Isn't that right? So he would gain control. Yeah. So our brother says, Larry Moore says, and the ruling white boy had no connection to nothing that was happening in Egypt or anybody invading it. That's true. That's true. That's a good question. They came to Egypt, the Hyksos. They came to Egypt. You find out the Egyptian was killing them in the Egyptian law. And I keep saying Egypt, excuse me, because I say it against my will. But the name of the place was Kemet. And these Cometians, right, that believed, just like all the other Africans, right? They were very royal people. They weren't fighters. We didn't believe in fighting, right? We would have scrimmages and sports and things like that. This is where the Europeans get the Olympics from. That's not something they thought up. This was happening in Africa. They would rather have a contest to see who would win. And whoever won would get a chance to rule or to institute their plan, right, for the kingdoms. We wouldn't waste our time fighting. The white man is a fighter, not us. But that's a good question that Brother Moore is asking. He's saying the ruling white boy had no connection to nothing that was happening in Egypt or anybody invading it. He did have connection, this Pharaoh that knew not Joseph, right? You see it in the Bible. They said there arose a Pharaoh that knew not Joseph. We're talking about 586 BC. This is during the time of Moses. Moses come on the edge of this because he's going to get these people out of there. He's going to get them out of there, right? So because they're using them as slaves, and I tell you another thing too, they're not totally accurate about, they don't give the whole story about Ramses, which was raised as Moses' brother. I want you to understand that Ramses initially is with Moses until they begin to put pressure on him that, you understand, the political pressure that his kingdom would suffer if he released those slaves because they're not going to give him any aid. And if there's any wars to be fought and someone comes to his land, they're not going to help him defend it. So slavery was a system of power. It wasn't the slavery in the sense of the time of Joseph, because when Joseph first came to Egypt, you're dealing with an all-black Egypt. Potiphar was black, right? The Egyptian king was black. Everybody was black. But in the time of Moses, what ended up happening was there arose a Pharaoh, right? Not a black Pharaoh. There arose a Pharaoh that knew not Joseph. And we're going to talk about that a little more because I'm going to have the verses to put those things in. And so that's right, Mose. That was his name, Mose. We say the term Moses because, again, we say that against our will because we know that there are people that don't understand. His name was Mose. And so during this time, thank you, Sister Donna. During this time, he sees what's happening. And it violated the law. Remember, Moses went to the desert. Right, they would send him out there initially because he had killed that Egyptian soldier trying to free the children of Israel. When this Egyptian soldier was beating one of them, Moses, as a prince, killed one of them. Right, and so Moses was banned from Egypt at that time by Pharaoh because the Pharaoh's father, Ramses I, had passed. Right. So he's banned by Ramses, which is Pharaoh too. And he leaves and goes in this desert. He's initially thought to have died. But he's rescued by a man named Jethro, who is the governor of Midian. Right? And you look at Carchemish and Midian, this Jethro had a daughter, right, that Moses married. Moses married Jethro's daughter. She became a wife, and I believe her name was Zipporah, if I make no mistake. But she becomes his wife. Moses is taught the pure law, not a political law. You know how you got social Christian, right? And you have social religious people. Moses is taught the religion of righteousness and understanding the law. And so from that point, he leaves and goes back. And when he goes back as a representative of God, and he tells Pharaoh, let my people go. He explains it to him, and Pharaoh is explaining these laws. Understand this. Pharaoh and Moses know each other very well. They grew up together, were raised by the same patriarch, so they knew each other. And Ramses wanted to help him, but he wasn't willing to come out of that system that had governed them. Because had he come out, he would have had to have fought them, right? You have to understand that, because the white man had taken over. These Hyksos, these Hyksos has gotten themselves in there, right? And then after that, Alexandria comes, right? The Alexandria comes from the Mediterranean of Greece. Alexandria comes, they had been there so long, the Alexandria comes and he wanted to establish for his version of people, which were the mixed Comitians, that they were calling the Egyptian. He wanted to establish their own statues and all of that. All of that is a term. It was Zipporah. And they may say Sephirah. I'm sure they had Sister Donna. I'm sure they had different ways of pronouncing that. Like some terminology said Mose, some terminology said Musa. You know, I'm sure if you say Sephirah or Zipporah, I'm sure it was the same thing. That they just probably pronounced it in different ways. But the point being is that Moses had gotten in to explain to Ramsey, to, hey, why this is wrong. And that we have what? Uncircumcised people over a circumcised nation of righteous people. And you have to understand that. What do we have today? The white man who is uncircumcised, what does that mean? That means he'll go every which way. He has no standard. None whatsoever. He goes against everything natural. And what God has created to be natural is holy, right? Constant and set aside, right? Male and female, he made them. Both male and female. He didn't make male and male. He didn't make female and female. He didn't make a male and female after surgery. God didn't make that, man made it. What is that? That's uncircumcised. That's uncircumcised. But God, what God made, right? What God made is circumcised. What God made is righteous. Because it's the natural order of things. What does righteousness mean? It only means the natural order of things. The way that God intended. The way that nature intended. The universal understanding, right, of what is constant. That's all it means. So our brother said the European that's ruling the day was organized by Rome Federale, which became the Federation. That's the Franks, right? The Goth, you know, the Vikings and stuff like that. That's true. Because remember, all of these, there was no, first of all, let me say this. The Vikings were not a race of people. This is something that they teach you that is another lie. The Vikings was a united white force. The Vikings was a united white force of expeditionaries that when they went over to areas to take them over. This is still the Hyksos. The Vikings is still counted in as a Hyksos. The Vikings took it by sea, right? And then you had those that went by land. It's no different than having the Army, right? The Air Force, the Navy, and the Marines. Where does that come from? Come from the white man. One by land, right? If two by sea. Do you get it? And then you had the air, right? Yeah. So you have to understand that it's the same old game that he got going the whole time. It's the same game that the white man has going. But it's something that we have to begin to accept and understand that this is the game that the man has been playing, and he's been playing it long enough, and he ain't got no intention to stop. He's going to continue to play it, right, until we stand up against it. We already know his game, but we have to be willing to put an end to his game. That's the thing. Our brother Larry Moore said Jethro showed him how to activate the metaphysical teachings, that's correct, of the Egyptian. That's correct, because he himself was circumcised. He himself was living the life, right, of the normal Egyptian. This is still a part of Egypt. We say Egyptians. I want us to get in the habit of saying Comitian, the real life of the Kemet, right? The real life of the people of Media. He was living the actual life of what they had learned from Cush, right? Cush is Ethiopia, right? What they had actually learned. Greetings, Clear James. Peace and love. How does this Bible prophecy relate to our people here in North America? I'm glad you asked, because the brothers and sisters know that last night, and I'm so glad that he's asked this question. This is the reason why we've been coming on to this 30-day marathon, brothers and sisters, because we know that people are going to come with the same questions that we have answers to. And brother Clear James, last night when we were talking about this the book of Isaiah. We were talking about the book of Isaiah, and I want to, if it's all right, brothers and sisters, I want to go back to that just a little bit, and I want to tape the end to our brother. I'm going to take the most powerful scripture that God has given us, right, to encourage us. I want to tape that to our brother. Let's first of all give the history of the Hyksos, and this is when he took over this 3,600 years ago. 3,600 years ago when he had taken over, right? So that's 3,600, and that's BC. The traditional explanation is that the Hyksos were what? An invading force. And let me tell the end of the story for this brother, because I think the brother has asked a powerful question, and we went over it yesterday, but we're going to give out the most powerful scripture. And brother, you'll be able to read all of this. I'm going to tell you where to go so you can be able to get it. It's the 14th chapter of the book of Isaiah, right? The 14th chapter. And it tells the end story of the devil, otherwise known as Satan, the devil of this planet, the white man. It gives the end story. When it said that thou shalt not be joined with them in burial, because thou hast destroyed thy land, slain thy people. The seed of evildoers shall never be renowned. Prepare for the slaughter of his children. Here it is, the 21st verse. I'm going to put that down of the 14th chapter of the book of Isaiah. I want to copy that for our brother and get that in there, because it's very important. Very important that our brother have this. This is at Clear James. So we're gonna put that in there, so our brother will have this. And brother, this is Isaiah, the 14th verse. We're gonna put that in there so you have it. Isaiah, the 14th verse, and I'm gonna put 1 through 21, and it should tell the entire story for the question that you're asking, because it's very important for us to know. And many of us need to know that God was talking about a man, right, that he would have to destroy. A lot of us don't even want to accept that. So when we say that the white man is the devil, right, I'm going to put 14 and 21 so you have that, brother. To put the actual scripture down. This white man is indeed the devil, and God has given us his end. All we have to do is stand fast and not be afraid of this man, because it tells us, brothers and sisters, to prepare for his children, right? Prepare slaughter for his children, right? For the iniquity of their father, that they do not rise, nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. That's it, brothers and sisters. See, so God has already told us, right? So we have no choice but to overcome. We have no choice. God is making this situation and allowing it to get to such a place where you're going to have to defend yourself. You're going to have to decrease those handicaps that are in front of you. If somebody is killing you and you don't fight back, that's a handicap. The only way that you decrease that handicap is that you create an army, right? So it is the prophecy of God that these things come about. Israel, or the Hebrew people, or the Jews, never left anywhere without an army. Even when Moses, Joshua, and Caleb got to the land of Canaan, and they said, we see giants in that land, right? And Moses asked the question, can we take them? Joshua and Caleb said, yes, we can. We can take the land, right? So they had an army. When they came out of bondage, they had an army. When they were in bondage, they had an army. You got to understand that. If you don't understand that, then you're missing the revolution. If you think
that the Bible is some beautiful book that you're reading, you're wrong. Brothers and sisters, if you're black, this is your heritage, and it is the map of your freedom, literally having examples of your history and what our forefathers did during that time and what you and I will have to do in this time. That's what it's telling you. And you have to know that. You have to know that. So this is how, Brother Clear James, this is how this prophecy relates to our people here in North America. When you hear about the story of the Egyptian bondage of our people, and we say Egypt, we can say that in the correct vernacular because the Commissions were put in Egypt. Once they had been overcome, right, then even the system of slavery had changed. Because those whites, those Hyksos, right, that had created this term Egyptos, this new kingdom they created, even with people being there, right? They had taken over, same way they did here in America, same way they did in Africa with people that had already been there governing. They came, overpowered them, and took over first through sexual integration, which is intercourse between blacks and whites. And after they created enough of them, they had some others where they created these color lines and helped them take over, right, these kingdoms. That's how it happened. And once they took over these kingdoms, they could implement, right, their form of government, right, their form of slavery, their form of debauchery, their form of righteousness, which we know that is total hypocrisy, right, when it relates to the righteousness of God. We know that. So our sister said, that's right. From my understanding, uncircumcised means spiritually unclean. That's right. Spiritually unclean. And the white man, Sister Donna, is definitely spiritually unclean. So I'm glad, brother. I'm glad I was able to answer that for you. Brothers and sisters, I'm not going to keep you long tonight. I just want to get in and touch in on that. There's not much else to add to it, but it's a great lesson. Don't forget to study Isaiah, the 14th chapter, the 1st through the 21st verse, and it tells you who the devil is. It says he's a man, right? The white man will tell you that the devil is a spirit. That's a lie. That's a lie. The spirit of the Antichrist is among us, right? The spirit of evil, anything that is anti-God, anything that is anti-order, anything that is anti-structure, right? But the devil is a man, right? Satan, Shaitan, is a race of people that have raised themselves up against God, that have raised themselves up against God. And that's this American white man and the European that have raised themselves up against God. And lo and behold, God said, lo, I am with you always, even until the end of the world. So don't worry, because he's already told us that we live our story as a tale being told. But the victory is ours, because John said, I saw 144,000. And then he said, lo, then I saw men, both small and great. I saw a number that couldn't be numbered. Isn't that right, brothers and sisters? So that means that we're going to be victorious on the end, because you've already seen where to find the information that Satan's doom is here. He knows it, and anytime he seems like he's trying to make peace and trying to act fair with you in front of the cameras, then you know that he knows that his time is really up. So brothers and sisters, I'm so thankful. I'm thankful that God is God. I am thankful today that God is God. What would we do without an awesome God? And you can believe that we serve an awesome God. Awesome God. And that's why I tell you, don't fear the white man. Don't fear the white man, fear God. The white man can harm your body, but you can harm his body. Yes, you can harm his body. He's nothing to be afraid of. He's nothing but a coward. If he wasn't, he wouldn't gang up on you. Only a coward gangs up on you. God can harm the body as well as the soul. And that kind of God I want to follow. That's the kind of God I want to be with. And if you're ever looking for God, just turn around and look in the mirror. brothers and sisters. For the scripture said, how can you say you love God whom you never seen and hate your brother whom you see daily? Isn't that right, brothers and sisters? Isn't that right? So we are God and we belong to God. There's no separation. Did not Jesus say, ye are my brothers, and what I've done ye shall do? And even greater things shall ye not do? Isn't that what Jesus said? That's what Jesus said. So brothers and sisters, I'm going to trust God. I won't fear the white man. He's not into fear. Who is he for us to fear? But I'm going to fear God because I know that God has the power to kill the body as well as the soul. So brothers and sisters, that's what I have for you today. And I've enjoyed this time that we have together. I've enjoyed this time we have together. Always love our theme song. Someday we'll all be free because it is empowering, brothers and sisters. That's why I like to come in on it and leave on it, because it's empowering. And it tells a prophecy of our deliverance. Our God has already come. Our Savior has already come. There's no need of no other. But our God has already come, and he dwells within us. The minute that we wake up to our God consciousness. Isn't that right, brothers and sisters? We wake up to who we really are. Brothers and sisters, we have been asleep in this dangerous hour. You and I have been asleep. We hadn't even woke up to our powers of who we really are. We don't even know who we are because the man, when he put us in chains, the man took us far away from our own habitat as he could get us. He took us away from it. So we don't even know our name. Somebody asked you, said, what's your name? Many of us will probably say, well, my name is Leslie. My name is Leroy. My name is Janika. Right? Isn't that right? My name is Maurice. My name is Joanna. Isn't that right? My name is Sister Donna. Right? That's not our name. That's not our name. It's a name that we were given, but it's not our name. Look at our last name. Right? We have assimilated first African names. Right? The assimilated African names. Because we understand that we're in Africa, but we don't have any connection with our direct history in Africa. Isn't that right? Unless we've studied it. And we're more close today than we have ever been in our lives, but we still don't have a history of ourselves. We don't even have a history of ourselves, brothers and sisters. And that's the reason why we come on this show, so we can learn. And all our God has allowed me to study and study strong, and I will be able to teach you the very things that God teach me, and the most honorable Elijah Muhammad has taught us about our history. So when they ask you your name, he says Smith, Jones, Brown, white, black people call white that don't even look white, ain't even close to white. But the man called you white when he gave you your last name. That's not our name, brothers and sisters. Some of our name is Kenyatta. Some of our name is Jomo. Isn't that right? Some of our name is Lumumba. Some of our names are Patrice. Kwame. Isn't that right, brothers and sisters? Sankara. We've got names that connect us with our natural place. It's locked in our DNA. It's locked in our DNA, and it was trapped in there. Isn't that right? When the man took us from our area, right, of happiness, our area of joy, our area of sanctification, and brought us over, right, to a land where our brothers and sisters were still here, black native African American, that he had fought and killed off. From Columbus to John Smith had fought and killed them off. And then kidnapped a 9-year-old girl, isn't that right? Named Pocahontas, right? Raped her and made her travel them around the land. Isn't that right? Misusing the law of God for their own selfish purpose. Isn't that right, brothers and sisters? Defiling our young men and young women even in that day. That's right, brothers and sisters. So you and I, we've got some fighting to do. We've got some standing to do, and we got some fighting to do to bag up that fighting. Some fighting to do to bag up that standing, and then to bag up that fighting. Because you and I were taken from our area, misused amongst our brothers and sisters. Isn't that right? And there's only one man that's ever done this around the planet. That white man, who is the devil of this planet. And you've seen in the book of Isaiah. Isn't that right, brothers and sisters? You've seen it. You've seen what it said about that man. I just want to take time to read it, brothers and sisters. It won't take long as we're coming to a close. Theme song is on now, so we're coming to a close. Isn't that right? But it says, for the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel. Isn't that right? Choose us to set them on their own land. That's talking about us. And strength shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob, cleave to the house of sin. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place. And the house of Israel shall possess the land of the Lord for the servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captive. Listen to this, brothers and sisters. This is us, whose captives they were. And they shall rule over their oppressors. And it shall come to pass in the day that the Lord shall give thee rest for thy sorrow and from thy fear, and from the hard bondage wherein thou wast made to serve. We wasn't asked to serve, we were made to serve, brothers and sisters. That's right. That's right, we were made to serve. And thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon, right here in America's Babylon, and say, how hath the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased. The Lord had broken the staff of the wicked, my God, and the scepter of the rulers, my God. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, he that ruleth the nation in anger is persecuted, and none hinder it. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. Isn't that a blessing, brothers and sisters? They break forth into singing, yeah. The fir trees rejoice at thee, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, since thou art laid down, no fellow is come up against us. Hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. It stirred up the dead. For thee, even all the chief ones of the earth, it hath raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nation. All they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy vows, the worm is spread under thee, and worms cover thee. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nation? But thou hast said in thy heart, I will ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the cloud. I will be like the Most High. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. And brothers and sisters, that's a blessing. That's a blessing, that they shall see thee narrowly, look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake the kingdom? My God. So brothers and sisters, we have the victory in God. We have the victory, and you will see why that man fight so much against us, because he already knows that his end is nigh. Isn't that right, brothers and sisters? He know that he can't win this war because God has already given us the victory. And so, brothers and sisters, I salute you. I say unto you, peace be unto you. Thank you all for joining with us. I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow, probably at 7 o'clock. I think 7 is a great time. You let me know what a great time would be. If you'll answer somebody, please, what's the best time to meet? I believe 7 is the best time, 7 or 8. But I'll let you make that decision. What time would be the best time to meet? But I believe that 7 or 8 o'clock will do. Brothers and sisters, thank you very much. And I ask that God be with you. Peace be unto you. and love someone. Tell somebody beside you that you love them if they're black. Thank you, Sister Donna. And we'll look at that. We'll go at 7 o'clock. We'll go with 7 o'clock. Tell someone you love them and hug them. Brothers and sisters, make peace. It's hard. If there's been anything between you, still try to make peace all you can. And I love you very much, and we are also to love one another. Peace be unto you, and I say unto you again, Assalamu alaikum.